On May 10, 2010, the Federal Minister of Industry announced a Digital Economy Consultation to help prepare a digital strategy for Canada.
Over the next 2 months, Canadians from all over the country will share their thoughts, experiences, and opinions on digital technology and its role in our lives and careers. As Canada's Industry Minister, I invite you to add your voice.
At the University of Toronto, a group of faculty and graduate students responded by convening an open collaborative process to prepare a submission. The key event was a roundtable held on June 14th. The result was a consensus submission endorsed by 78 individuals from academia, civil society organizations, and the private sector. The submission made several key points. The digital economy is but one part of an emerging digital society. The values of social inclusion, affordable universal access, the legal right to internet access, and the promotion of privacy, civil liberties, and participatory opportunities for citizenship should guide the strategy. Here's more of what the participants at the roundtable had to say about the many issues covered.
I'm here at this consultation process because I really care about these particular issues. I've been working in them for 15 years. I find that not enough attention is paid to the way policy is made in the telecommunications area. But that's just so extremely important to the way we live, especially at this present time when our technology is changing so rapidly. One of my key issues in this area at this particular time is the way the consultation on telecom, the consultation on the digital economy is taking place. I'm really alarmed and distressed by the fact that there is not much face-to-face consultation happening, certainly not among the general public. This is a unique opportunity for me, and I've come from Ottawa to Toronto to participate in it because it just makes such a huge difference that people can sit in a room, deal with some of these issues, speak together, lay all their experience on the table, and come up with some really good ideas and resolutions to some of the questions that have been posed. This doesn't happen when you're looking at a screen. When you're looking at a screen, you're just much dumping your own information, your own ideas, and you're not doing an exchange with others. That's how consultation should happen.
So one of the questions has to do with the advantages of having Canadian content online, and the consultation paper addressed primarily content that refer to the traditional content, TV, radio, and newspaper, and the recording industries and the film industry. But from my standpoint, there's a huge body of content that are created and funded by the Canadian government and the taxpayer, and that is academic content and educational content. And in my view, one of the things the government can do very easily is to enact policy of public access, ensuring that the work that they fund through government grants and through university subsidies, that these works are openly accessible to the public once they have been created, once the research has been performed. So as far as contents are concerned, are already being created, supported by government, and they just need to take the next steps and make them available to all, and not only Canadians, but actually to the rest of the world.
You know, for me, a couple of the main issues are the way in which we need to be thinking about a basic set of telecommunications, internet, digital economy services that cover such things as what's the basic bandwidth that every household in Canada should enjoy, and it's probably in the 1 to 5 megabit range, which is, you know, relatively modest by international comparisons. Canada has fallen behind most other countries in the OECD in terms of its telecommunication infrastructure, in terms of the number of households, the price, and the speeds that are offered, and we've got a long way to catch up. So I think setting a target level of basic access services is vital at this point, and I think that's something that the government should address very seriously. Another important issue that came up in this consultation was the issue of whether the information that Canadians exchange between themselves, or if they're accessing government services, whether that stays within Canada or at least stays under the protection of Canadian privacy law. Many exchanges over the internet between Canadians actually passes through the United States, and that exposes that data to the provisions of the U.S. Patriot Act and also to NSA surveillance that's being conducted on the backbone. So it's a serious privacy issue. It also is a national sovereignty issue, both from the point of view of the government in terms of managing our affairs, and also even from the point of view of industry, when the information that's sensitive to the government and to industry passes through other hands. I mean, outside of the United States, outside of Canada, such as in the United States. And that is an issue that the federal government should take on if we want to have actually a Canadian infrastructure that we can rely on and depend on and trust.
Net neutrality is a big focus that we've, as an organization, have taken a look at. I know the CRTC's recently examined internet traffic management practices, and it continues to be a big concern to Canadians to make sure that not only do we have access to the internet, but we have access to the speeds that we need in order to continue to be competitive internationally and to access the content and participate as we want to. Copyright is a huge concern for Canadians. I think the government's heard that, but despite whatever was tabled in the bill, I think there's still a lot of discussion with respect to digital locks and Canadians being able to access content in a legal and fair manner.
Canada's digital economy thrives on the flow, the access, and the distribution of created content that can be accessed in many formats, but it's distributed on infrastructure, and in the coming decades it will be distributed on advanced infrastructure, in particular advanced radio spectrum. My hopes in contributing to this consultation roundtable is to suggest that as Canadians we develop open cartographic standards related to infrastructure that can support civil society and the research community as it collectively maps the evolution of the infrastructure.
Particularly, I am concerned with Canada following the US model of copyright and innovation. I believe that the model that Canada is trying to pursue is restrictive in the sense that it limits innovation and disadvantages the small to medium-sized corporations and individuals for the benefit of large-scale corporations that are controlling essentially our media infrastructure currently. I would like to see more of an open access, open source approach where the government provides all Canadians with a level of access that allows them to interact and be part of the civic society. I believe that access to the infrastructures of the digital economy are the way in which citizenship is going to be enacted in the near future. And those that cannot get access will be severely disadvantaged. And this will increase the digital divide.
The Government of Canada should focus a lot on issues related to accessibility and thinking about accessibility in a broad, holistic socio-technical framework. So access to content, access to services, access to literacy, access to resources, access to infrastructures, multiple different infrastructures, including the emerging mobile media infrastructures. The Government of Canada should consider that the topic of digital economy is a huge topic that deserves to have more time spent in a consultative framework across Canada, and not just in a small period of window of time that the government has allocated. We're voting on issues kind of like Canadian Idol. So it needs to be a more far-reaching consultation. One of the issues that it would be great to look at are issues of youth and how youth are actively using these technologies in creative and often controversial ways, at least in terms of how, let's say, current copyright legislation might be proceeding. And we need to look at and talk to youth and look at how they're using these technologies in their everyday lives for purposes of education, play, work, creativity, and even resistance. And one other issue would be great is to look at not just youth, but what Canadians know about digital policy literacy issues. So what do they know about net neutrality? What do they know about broadband access? What do they know of their rights as broadband consumers?
We had around 30 people show up, and that was preceded by the development on a wiki of some background materials that address the main themes that the federal government was asking us to respond to around the digital economy. So based on the materials that are being collected and the information that people had and the pet issues that they brought, we had a very productive, and I was quite delighted with the outcome. I mean, it was remarkable, I think, how much people had to say about this topic.